So we're here at the Ace Gallery in Los Angeles, and I wanted to see this show by Laurie Lipton. It's one of the most amazing shows that's been in Los Angeles in some years. It's a show of pencil drawings, very large scale, by one of those gifted artists alive today who's working in pencil. This show is remarkable for its scale. These are very large drawings. She normally has worked small, but for this exhibit, she's really scaled up. Very few artists are able to draw like this anymore. Laurie is an artist who began working this way in art school at a time when this kind of representational practice was being discouraged. Yet she went ahead and studied this way, almost in a manner that had to be self-taught. It's quite extraordinary. If we look at this smaller piece, the thing I want to point out is how difficult it is to work with this quality of line. You have to work backwards, forwards. Imagine making space for the lines to sit on top of each other. You have to plan this out as the artist. So this rivals the delicacy of the most intricate Celtic knotwork or Muslim ornamentation. This is an incredibly complicated piece of work. I'm not talking about the death image and all the knitting, but the linear quality of this is one of the most stupendous compositional achievements in drawing that I've seen in some time. As we move through the show, we get more into the meat of the thematic heart of this exhibit. This exhibit reminds me of Terry Gilliam's movie Brazil. It's a kind of mashup of broken down technology in a future that hasn't quite left the industrial age, but is trying to. And again, the artist is just, fascinated with the use of line juxtaposed with these banks of machinery and then these visual puns of these mouths in the monitors, lots of love as soon as possible, oh my God, spelled out here. So everywhere you look, there are clues or puns the artist is giving you to find in this wild cacophony of design. The density of marks and imagery is astounding. The quality of and what's really extraordinary is bringing the blacks to the foreground and then the lights moving to the background, so you have the picture receding away from you. Is a brilliant device in creating these pencil drawings. So here I can see her working with a very soft graphite pencil, going over it with cross-hatching. You see all of this tiny cross-hatching, working probably with a B pencil and then maybe a number 3, getting lighter, maybe a 6C pencil, but she's working with traditional pencil glazing techniques. These are things artists don't know anymore. Only a very few extremely talented and gifted pencil draftsmen understand these techniques, and Laurie Lipton is probably one of the best alive. Here you see her flip it and do a completely abstract treatment of an oil slick in the foreground, which is quite striking, almost very different. Marks on paper that go completely away from the linear quality, and then juxtaposed with this boneyard of this person sweeping away the bones from this oil spill. what we're looking at is not a particularly happy future. She's not showing us an environment that is one that presents solutions or happy conclusions. This is a dystopian world that she's involved in, and it is very much like Pink Floyd's The Wall or Terry Gilliam's Brazil. Particularly some of these scenes here where you have, in this extraordinary drawing, all of these skeletons on conveyor belts marching into vast cavernous spaces with all of this bizarre Rube Goldbergian machinery. But what strikes me again is the amount of detail and knowing how difficult it is to draw something like this with, just from your head without any visual aids, because I believe the artist is not using photographs, he's not using projectors. I believe she uses a painting stick or a stick so she doesn't get her arm on the drawing to smudge it, but she just is doing it cold. It's quite incredible. I mean, she must have some visual references, but I think she has really mastered the art of composition. Now, I know she has a deep knowledge of draftsmen who go deeper than, say, Caravaggio or Michelangelo. She's more into alchemy. She understands the great engravers like Robert Flood or Solomon Trismosin, the really arcane draftsmen who went deep into a kind of type of engraving and use of line that had a particular kind of strangeness to it. She's very aware of the fantastic realists, particularly Ernst Fuchs, Matty Klarwein, Hutter, Hundertwasser. These people from the, so one or two are still alive, but were popular in the 1960s. You might have seen them around the acid rock scene when their stuff came over from Europe and was popular around Fillmore East and those places. Again, this drawing, I just marvel at the detail in the ceiling. This must have taken months to complete. And, but after you get sucked into the detail, then you start to look at what's happening. The march of these skeletons across the upper pier, all through the building. Well, what's going on there? Carrying iPads with emojis in them, all these little subtle, funny little visual puns, comments on our time. Acerbic ones at best. Then I turn to this one and, just this arm doing a selfie, just stuck in this massive spaghetti of USB cords and wiring. It's like some, nightmare of broken down technology and, old IT stuff. It's really a very compelling drawing of this one strong element cutting diagonally through the piece, and this, angry face in the cell phone, taking a selfie of itself. And if that's you, the viewer, if that's the point of view, you're drawn into her world that way, and you have to wonder, where is the anger coming from, or or is it just really a dark and black humor that we're exposed to? I think this drawing over here reminds me the most of the movie Brazil, and that's why I brought it up several times. These men on this dirigible, it seems like, or shouting orders into these kinds of these kinds of things that you would have seen from another century. They seem to be on a journey on some kind of hill port, or maybe they're in the control room of a nuclear power plant, but they're all headed somewhere into the mists. And but I just think the way the drawing starts on the edges, with the darks, and then moves into, from a scale of 10 to 1 into the brightest light in the middle is really a brilliant device of composition and light. And then, of course, the mystery of, are they going anywhere? Where are they going? Is left to our imagination. These are, again, extraordinary because of their size. Most pencil drawings are meant to be intimate, particularly ones that have this level of detail. And the show closes out again with another one of these kind of industrial fantasies. Portrait of a woman whose head is wired to a chandelier. Who knows what the hell is going to happen if you ever plug it in. Curiously, one of the few portraits in the show. The rest really are about people in a mechanized space where they are either being acted upon or there aren't even people there. There's skeletons or effigies of people, such as in this strange picture, where you have these three sort of sinister, odd women knitting and cutting up these images of men and women who are being milled or created on this machine. As it seems to suggest that a depersonalization of humankind has happened. Here we have I should look at the title of this, The Queen of Bones, a very beautiful, beautifully rendered portrait of the Queen of Bones. And if you look at the detail, it rivals anything that could have come out of the 14th or 15th century. Exquisite detail. And then, one might ask, why do this? Well, Laurie Lipton wants to do this. It has a lot to do with symbolism, and the kind of symbolism that she is personally immersed in. I find this image, one of the last ones we'll talk about, hilarious. And I think there's humor in her work, and if it's really evident, it's here. It's this image of the housewife, turning to you with her pride coming out of the oven, the turkey, the dinner, what she has to offer, and instead of what comes out is this burned out motor or whatever the fuck that is, with that kind of 1950s look. It's really funny. And her kitchen is this massive mechanical garbage, and You know, it's just, you know, it's, what can I say? The title of this is Cooked, and to me, it's the for Laurie to draw this, I would say that it has something to do with just, it's like a calling card for this show. And it's like open the door, and this is what you get. And walk into this gallery, and if I knew nothing about Laurie Lipton and I came in here, just seeing this show would have been, a god-awful surprise, and it was. It was a pleasant shock to the system. The last drawing in the show is one I often feel like myself, who, wondering who we are in this time we live in, this idea, this invisible man, or this person without an identity taking a selfie, and that image repeated everywhere is a compelling image for, this thumbs up sort of approval of where we may be. In any event, this show represents for Laurie Lipton a huge leap forward. She wanted to scale her work up. She did it in an amazing way. These drawings are extraordinary in their craft. I'm curious to see what she does next, particularly thematically. It's a brilliant show, and she deserves a great deal of credit for achieving something that I think is going to be well remembered. And there are very few artists who are able to work in this fashion anymore, and she is one of the few. So hats off to Laurie Lipton. Nimai, are you there? Nimai.
Hey,
man, how you doing?
Hey, Clayton, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Please come on in.
So this is your studio, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. What a thing.
Not the whole thing, of course,
No.
but yeah.
Great. It's over here. These are all your cars?
No, these are my studio mates. I have a car in there. Maybe we'll just go check it out later. That's not running. We like non-running cars. That's kind of our thing.
All right, so we're walking into what? Your main studio?
Yeah, this is where we put like our finished work and have a clean environment. Where the other side is just the big.
So are you sharing this studio?
We are, yeah.
Okay, so it's you and who else?
And me and Mark Schmidt.
Okay.
Who's like a
but
old friend.
Everything that's up is yours.
Yeah, right now, yeah.
All right, so this. Oh my God! This is Tammy Faye Baker.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
so
right. Infamous.
So why did you make a painting of her?
Well, this painting is part of a body of work.
Yeah.
It's a series of 6 portraits that heavily explore the cult of personality and just the idea and these strong personalities that are so persuasive, and it relates to my childhood in a sense.
Explain that, because she of course was we remember her as being a Christian televangelist who got caught up in her husband's bizarre scandal, and she became almost a figure of fun.
Right, yeah, they were kind of like playing on that.
Right, and here, she's, you're not really showing her in the most flattering light. She looks almost like a harpy or some exaggerated figure. So,
well, that's kind of the thing. It's kind of to deconstruct these people and sort of explore what they are about and their just how persuasive they are and how people will follow them, and the criminality in their workings, and how they make tremendous amounts of money. And I think people people who are supposed to be of God, they're kind of making a mockery of that. So I want to really comment on that.
How does that relate to your childhood directly? Were you exposed to something like that?
I was. My mother joined the Hare Krishna movement very early on, and she was part of the structure of it as it became from a small little society to like a worldwide society.
Sure. And
she was very devout in it. My mother was also an artist, but she kind of gave it up to pursue the spiritual path. And I spent a few years from the age of 5 till about 9 in a school in upstate New York, which is called the Gurukula, which basically translates to School of the Guru.
Right.
And it's the monastic environment, ashram, and we're like basically little monks. We're studying ancient texts, Vedic Hindu texts, and waking up at 4 a.m. I mean, it was Yeah, it's not
not your normal childhood, American childhood.
Yeah,
right.
So we're being bred to be these Brahmin priests, but somewhere along the lines, the thing just kind of went awry and went haywire, and that experience in my formative years really kind of dictates all of this art that I'm making, in a sense.
So, are you reacting to? Did it go haywire in that it too became corrupted in some way?
Very much so.
Okay.
Money, power. The founder died in '77, and from that point on, it was very much a power struggle. It was littered with, abuse to children, abuse to women, just everything you can imagine under the umbrella of.
Whoa! All right. Well, so some other examples then. Here's Jim Jones.
Right, Jim Jones,
who is famous for hideous abuse and manipulation of his followers, including killing them all.
Right.
So I imagine that's why he's included in this pantheon.
Yeah. Jim Jones is not part of this body of work that's called, this is called Doing the Lord's Work.
Right.
And of the 6 portraits, but this is just more furthering that dialogue. This is part of another series that I call Chicken Scratch, which is like a phrase or something that I repeat over and over. This actually says Kool-Aid continuously. And the color is made of Kool-Aid.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's a continuous phrase. Kool-Aid, just inundating your mind.
Yeah. Very, very clever.
I think for art, people of your generation and my generation, we knew about this. Of course, I was a kid, but this very much relates of how belief systems can get completely out of whack and just take on a whole nother context. And this is it.
Well, yeah, even today that just stands out as one of the more shocking mind control situations where 1,000 people just jumped off a cliff with this guy,
right?
Because he told them to.
Yeah.
And now when we look at it, or when you see tapes of him talking to his followers, you go, he's not that persuasive.
You almost wonder,
go
like,
along
how
with this creep,
right?
Yeah, but they did, the world is filled with examples of these pedagogues, just leading people.
Leading them astray.
Or having power. What is this piece?
Which one? The crucifix? Oh, this piece. This is a portrait of my daughter. She's 13 now. She was 10 when I did that, and she actually wrote that. she had awakened from being asleep. She has her pajamas on. I took a photo of her, and they just sort of come together. And you know, she looks like almost like she's blinded by some idea of, you know, the light.
This piece over here, this sculpture, Christ nailed to a cross made of guns. I would look at it and go, well, it's a commentary about religion is used often for the worst possible purposes.
That's exactly the message.
Yeah, to create violence, and Christianity does it, Islam does it, Hinduism does it, but in this case, you know, you're using Christianity as the example. It reminds me of some work. I don't know if you know Daniel Ruinova, who's a Mexican sculptor. He's made a lot of crucifixes out of guns, but he's never bronzed them. He just takes toy guns and slaps
I haven't
them all
seen it,
together.
but I'd like to.
But he hasn't put. Did you cast this?
Yeah, this is bronze. It was casted in you know, all the pieces were casted separately, then it's welded together.
It's pretty great.
Thank you.
So have you shown it anywhere?
I have. I've shown it at a bunch of different art fairs.
What happened
the last year?
Any reactions?
Yeah, a lot of people react to it because it's kind of like, you know, it's common imagery, you know, but put together in a way that kind of questions. And I think you know, it's gold, it's gilded, so it's like people react. You know, they're drawn to it. I guess it's garish and tacky. And,
has anyone said you're you know, you're messing with a religious icon?
Definitely. I mean, there's been
any
you know,
blowback?
Yeah, certainly. People have said it's disgusting. I've had all kinds of, you know, and I remember when I first did it, there was a part of me that felt almost guilty, you know. But as I went through it, I said, what's to feel guilty? This is the truth. I'm pointing out a fact. So, you know, it's like,
well, the argument would be, you know, devil's advocate, that you're taking a sacred image from, you know, there are a billion Christians who revere this image as an iconic image of the sacred beliefs, and you are using it in a way that would be offensive to them.
right.
Sure. Yeah, okay, so that would be their point of view. I guess that would be why you get blowback.
Yeah, I mean, I think any artist is putting forth a challenge of some sort. There's, you know, you're creating a visual dialogue, and that dialogue may be strong, or, you know, whatever the case may be, you're creating some type of conversation, and that's always the end game and goal, at least for me. It is to spark.
Do you think, though, that is appropriate to take someone's, because of all the examples of, like, you know, someone draws a cartoon of Muhammad and they all get killed in Paris in the Charlie Hebdo
it's scary.
thing. I mean, you know, there's some really freakish things starting to happen with people who are, you know, really doctrinaire and possessive about their
and that's
their belief system to the point where they're intolerant about it.
Right. I mean, that's always scary. You know, I did a piece that involved just the histories and the need for, and the fight for oil and just that whole thing. The title of the piece was Hegemony. Hegemony.
Yeah.
I can't even say the word. But anyway, I don't have it here for you guys to see because it's a big installation. But at any event, you know, there was a comment on East and West and how the conflict, you know, continues. And I you know, if I don't set out to offend anybody. I'm not here to shock people. I'm trying to just have a conversation with my viewer.
Well, are you trying to do this? What's this?
The title of this piece is self-destruction, and it's for the viewer to reflect on these points. You know, religion, of how when, you know, history is shown that, you know, when things become organized, they become destroyed.
But
and get away from the original message.
Is any principle of organization suggests an inherent process of destruction. Can you organize it in a positive way?
Sure. I think all these are good intentions that have gone awry and have gone corrupted, and I'm really mostly talking about that. You know, that's where I'm standing from.
So is this a way of starting a dialogue to have this, or is this like a doctrinaire statement that's been framed and stands as a assumption to be challenged, or
no, it's
how do you want it to be received by the viewer, who, particularly because it's in a mirror, you know?
Yeah, I just want the viewer to reflect on whatever it is they feel that means and resonates with them.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's right behind us is Ai Weiwei.
Yes.
Yeah. So why are you doing a piece about?
Well, the Ai Weiwei piece is, I'm a big fan of Ai Weiwei. That's first and foremost. I like his work, I like what he stands for, and I like what he puts forward. Ai Weiwei, I'm a fan. I made this piece because I was just furthering on the chicken scratch stuff, body of work, and this says free Ai Weiwei over and over and over.
Yeah, I met him briefly.
Yeah.
In Beijing, I went to his house. And everyone said, don't go, there are cops, there are cameras.
Yeah.
And I was having a show up the hill in a building he made, the Three Shadows Photography Center, and one of his assistants came up and said, oh, come on down. So I did, and I just walked in. There were no guards.
Yeah.
He was sitting there. He was a rock star. He did his
I'm
third
sure.
camera crew of the
Yeah.
day from somewhere. He'd finished an interview, and he was just sitting there tired from being a star. And I said, how are you doing? I'm so tired of being a star. You know, it was fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know him personally, but he doesn't seem like he cares that much. You know, he just.
Well, he cared that he could. You know, I said, you want to come up and be part of my project? I'm taking people's photos about words they've learned since 9/11. That was the name of the project. Oh no, I'm not. I'm not going to be in anybody else's project.
Yeah.
You know, he was like all about himself. But it was cool, you know. But he interesting guy. He was surrounded by groupies, who were all working for free. They'd come from all over the world, mainly Americans.
Yeah,
who,
I've seen that.
Were totally like
art
enraptured
students
about
and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
and like were living for Ai Weiwei, and you know. But
he's become quite the figure.
He's a force of nature.
Yeah,
he's an art story.
Yeah.
But he's courageous. He's
absolutely.
Courageous. Absolutely courageous.
That's what I admire about him.
And does some great work.
Definitely.
The American flag behind you, I'm curious, because, you know, as we pass through Christ and...
Krishna. Yeah.
And I was thinking Queen Victoria, but that's Krishna.
It's Krishna, yeah.
All right. And...
Flag first, or...?
Yeah, flag first.
Okay, so I've been doing a lot of work with the notion of America, just being an American, born here in America, and what that means from all shades of the interpretation of American. So this piece in particular, it's a mirrored surface, and once again, it's for the viewer to reflect, and it nods to all of that. You know, what are we American? You know, what does that mean to be an American? And we're a great nation, how we're perceived overseas, you know, so on and so forth. So this is a little bit more vague, but the black and white is to show duality and both sides of and that's what the symbolism of black and white is to me. I mostly work, you know, in monochromatic.
Yeah. No, I think the dual nature, the good, the bad, the misperceptions, the apprehensions. I think there's a lot of confusion about the United States.
Absolutely.
The way we're perceived. Understandably, we send out a lot of mixed signals. I like this piece. I think it's subtle.
Thank you.
And finally, this two sides of the same coin, or? Yes,
it's two-faced, but it's also, this heavily weighs on my upbringing as well, because my grandmother was an Italian immigrant, and you couldn't walk in the house without like dipping your finger into it was very Catholic environment. And then my mother, who broke off from her Catholic upbringing to follow an Eastern philosophy, and that that intermingling is what's going on here.
Batiman Fidel. What's this flag, and what do these words mean?
So this is the flag of Jamaica.
Okay.
Batiman Fidel translates to it's popular terminology in Jamaican culture, dancehall culture, and the music scene, and basically what it means is kill all gay men, shoot them dead.
Okay.
So and it's riddled in Jamaican pop culture.
So this is a real homophobic statement.
Yes, which is in Jamaica. It's very much fueled by the religious right there. They feel that you have to wash, and it's very violent. You cannot be openly gay. It's the most homophobic place in the world.
Jamaica is?
Jamaica
I
is.
didn't realize that.
Openly gay will get you killed. And then to go further, they have old laws in place, which is the buggery law, which Jamaica, if you're two men holding hands in public, you can get up to 10 years with labor, hard labor. It's like some archaic law that, it's hard to believe that still exists.
So did you make this piece as sort of like a gay rights piece? Or?
Yes,
okay.
and furthering my my overall theme of how religious interpretation fuels this, because this ties into the heavy evangelical Christian views of Jamaica, as well as the Rastafarian culture. That this is it's an abominable act that happens between two men, and I just feel like it's a small country, and it's interesting to me. I've always my best friend at 13 was from Jamaica, and our family took him in, and I really like the culture, and I love the country. It's this amazing intersection of all kinds of cultures, and it's just a vibrant place. But this is the darkness that's hiding there, and I don't think the world really knows about how bad it is and how possible it is to be a young gay person, female, male, or transgender in that environment. It's impossible. You have to live underground.
How does this piece show that? How is this flag expressing that?
The it's the idea of the nationalism and the symbol of their nationalism. The knot stands for a country that is maybe spinning its wheels or doing something wrong or needs to change. But a conversation needs to happen, and things need to evolve. I mean, in this day and age, to have this level of homophobia running all the way to the highest government is just disgusting.
So is Rastafarian culture homophobic?
Very much so.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of the music. All the music personalities that I like, they all say, kill Batiman this, Bati boy. It's just, but I cannot support that. I love listening to the music, but I cannot support that, this exists. It's just too extreme.
Yeah. Wow.
The human condition, so.
Yeah, that would be kind of a non-starter in the American contemporary art world, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Thanks. Okay. This has been amazing being here to see your work.
Thank you.
What are you working on next?
I'm just new stuff. I'm about to start 2 paintings. Got 2 blank canvases that I've been priming. That starts this week. One is going to be a portrait of probably Joel Osteen, the evangelist preacher, New Agey kind of evangelist preacher, with this body of work. And the other one is a portrait of a kid who grew up in the Hare Krishna religion and where they are today. I did a whole series of portraits on them, in their adult life, and it's. They're kind of a motley crew at this. Some have triumphed and some have destroyed themselves through drugs and alcohol because of this, their childhood experiences, and just sort of trying to matriculate back into like
conventional society.
Yeah.
It's been a hard transition. So I can't show it to you, but I have an installation, and then the portraits, and I'm just furthering the work. Just keep making it.
As an artist, are you concerned at all about the upcoming elections, since so many of the candidates are religious bigots?
Absolutely. I am. I try, and I'm very aware of politics. Obviously, my work is very political. But I won't take a hard-nosed stance on it, but it is very concerning, especially in this day and age. It's like, how do these things exist? How does someone, like, I don't know. Should we say names? We'll probably just leave it.
Should artists do something this year? Should
Absolutely.
they do it in their work, or take a stand, or
both?
What would you do personally this year? Is there any way you're going to respond?
Not as of right now. I haven't thought of anything, or really, I'm reacting to it within myself, and maybe within conversation of like-minded people. But I specifically haven't made any work in that light. But you never know when I'll become influenced, and I've had enough. I mean, kind of like, that kind of thing. The political stance and what I think are what's morally correct, and sort of equaling the playing field is my desire, is that all is the human condition is just a little bit more fair, and I think we should all do our part to get to that stage.